13 years after Robin Gibb's death, the silence around his private struggles is finally cracking open. For years, his children protected what they knew, holding back stories the public only whispered about. But time has a way of forcing the truth out, especially when the weight becomes impossible to carry any longer. Today, they're no longer shielding the man behind the music. They're explaining him right here. Make sure to subscribe and hit like because it truly helps a lot as these stories finally come to light. They're opening the door to the early years, the fragile beginnings of a legend, long before rumors or scandals ever surfaced. Robin Hugh Gibb was simply a child, born December 22, 1949, at Jane Crookall Maternity Home on the Isle of Man, arriving just 35 minutes before his fraternal twin, Maurice. No fame, no chaos yet, just the quiet start of a life that would later explode onto the world stage. Their parents, Hugh and Barbara Gibb, were loving, musical, and restless, moving the family from the Isle of Man to Manchester, then all the way to Redcliffe, Australia. Those early years were chaotic. The boys became known for mischief, small fires, pranks, and reckless stunts that worried adults, but hinted at the wild creativity brewing inside them. By the mid-1950s, the Gibb brothers found the one thing that could finally calm that energy: harmony. Barry, Robin, and Maurice sat together, chasing the sounds of the Everly Brothers and Paul Anka, instinctively locking into layered vocals that would soon change music forever. In 1955, they formed the Rattlesnakes, performing at Manchester halls with a raw edge that made people stop and stare. When two members left, they regrouped as Wee Johnny Hayes and the Blue Cats, refusing to slow down. Then, in 1958, a single decision changed everything. The family boarded a ship to Australia, unknowingly traveling alongside a young Red Simons, another future music star. Australia gave the brothers the fresh start they desperately needed. By 1960, they appeared on television for the first time on Strictly for Moderns, singing "Time Is Passing By." Even at just 10 years old, Robin's tremolo, soft, quivering, and strangely mature, stood out immediately. It didn't take long before Festival Records signed them in the mid-1960s, bringing early hits and rising attention. In 1965, when Robin sang lead on "I Don't Think It's Funny," people noticed something undeniable. This was no longer a child's voice. It carried weight, emotion, and a haunting quality the world would one day mourn. Yet behind the teenage success, cracks were already forming. Fame was moving fast, and the brothers weren't ready for the price it demanded. Love, chaos, and the first major fall collided as the Bee Gees exploded in the late 1960s. Robin Gibb's personal life grew just as intense, but far less stable. In 1968, at only 18, he married Molly Hollis, secretary to manager Robert Stigwood. Their bond wasn't shaped by glamour, but by trauma, having survived the Hither Green rail crash, a devastating derailment that claimed nearly 50 lives and injured many more. Surviving that tragedy forged a bond that felt unbreakable at the time. For a few years, it looked like Robin had everything: fame, love, and a future that seemed steady on the surface. But fame is rarely gentle. By the early 1970s, Robin was living mostly in the United States, while Molly remained in the UK, raising their children, Spencer and Melissa. The constant distance slowly ate away at their marriage. Robin's growing emotional instability, fueled by pressure, sleepless nights, and relentless touring, created deep fractures. He began relying on stimulants, substances commonly used by musicians trying to survive endless studio sessions and late-night performances. Friends later recalled his moods becoming frighteningly unpredictable. Bursts of intense energy were followed by crushing exhaustion, long paranoid nights, and a growing belief that people around him, including Molly and her lawyers, were plotting against him. By 1980, after years of living separate lives, Molly filed for divorce. The breakup turned bitter fast. Robin violated a court order by publicly speaking about their marriage, and the consequences were severe. In 1983, he was jailed for 14 days, a humiliating fall for a man at the height of global fame, and a clear sign his private battles were far darker than fans ever imagined. Even as his personal world collapsed, Robin searched for comfort in new beginnings. In 1985, he married Ina Murphy Gibb, an artist and writer whose spiritual outlook and creativity closely mirrored his own. She became both his partner and collaborator, helping him rebuild a sense of balance he had lost. Yet even this marriage carried hidden storms, ones the public wouldn't learn about for many years. Betrayals, secrets, rumors that never truly faded. For years, the outside world could only guess what was happening behind closed doors. Robin Gibb's second marriage, beginning in 1985, appeared calm and grounded. Two creative souls sharing life between Miami, the Isle of Man, and their historic Oxfordshire home, the Prebendal, looked like a peaceful retreat from fame. But beneath the surface, the arrangement was far from traditional. Only after Robin's death did the truth emerge. Ina and Robin had an open marriage, a fact kept completely private during his lifetime. Within that openness lived one of the most sensational rumors that had quietly circulated for years. Around 2001, as Robin approached 50, he began a long-term relationship with Claire Yang, a housekeeper in the Gibb household. The relationship lasted several years, and in 2008, Claire gave birth to Robin's daughter, known only to those closest to him. To outsiders, it looked like a scandal waiting to explode, but what no one realized then was that Ina already knew and had accepted the situation. Her later comments were calm, almost serene. She explained she wasn't a jealous person and that Claire and Snow were cared for. Those quiet words confirmed what fans had whispered about for decades. Even with Ina's acceptance, the situation still created tension inside the family, tension that never fully settled. Robin struggled to juggle the emotional strain of two households. He felt deep loyalty to his older children, mixed with guilt over a relationship that had moved far beyond discretion. His need for balance, both in life and in music, was constantly colliding with choices that made everything more complicated. The turmoil didn't stop at home. Professionally, Robin faced long-standing tension with Barry Gibb, especially over who should sing lead. Disagreements dating back to the success of Massachusetts in 1967. Those arguments never truly disappeared. For Robin, Barry's growing dominance, vocally and creatively, felt like erasure. That frustration fueled their split in 1969, and even after reuniting in 1970, old resentments lingered. Fans heard perfect harmony, but behind the microphones, the brothers clashed over control, identity, and the right to be heard. Those unresolved emotions, mixed with Robin's personal struggles, laid the groundwork for rumors that never faded. Rumors his children are now finally willing to address, shaped by loss, pressure, and a family stretched thin beneath legendary harmonies. The first major fracture hit in 1969 when Robin temporarily walked away from the group over creative control. The split healed on the surface, but the wounds never fully disappeared. Then came the blow no one could prepare for: the death of Maurice Gibb in 2003, Robin's twin and the brother who had always acted as the emotional bridge between Barry and Robin. Maurice's passing shattered the fragile balance holding the family together. In the immediate aftermath, Barry, already drowning in grief, became furious when he believed Maurice's widow, Yvonne, and her relatives were planning a tribute album driven by profit rather than love. He felt excluded, blindsided, and the anger spilled into public view. The disagreement exploded into a very public feud. Barry openly accused others of exploiting Maurice's legacy, turning private pain into headlines. And caught painfully in the middle was Robin, torn apart by loyalty, grief, and silence. Robin desperately wanted to honor his twin, but the clash between Barry and Yvonne's side made every step unbearable. Rumors spread that Robin continued working on Bee Gees-related projects while Barry pulled back, hurt and disillusioned. To the public, it looked like a fight over an album. What Robin's children later revealed was far deeper. Beneath the argument lived unresolved grief, identity struggles, and a battle over who had the right to carry the Bee Gees forward after Maurice was gone. The divide between Barry and Robin only widened, and by the early 2000s, they were barely speaking. And tragically, Robin never told Barry he was ill. Barry later admitted he only learned about the illness when Robin was already dying, a revelation that shattered him completely. For Barry, the silence was confusing and painful. For Robin, it reflected years of emotional distance and wounds that never healed. Robin's children now confirm what fans long suspected. The brothers loved each other deeply. Fame, rivalry, and repeated loss built invisible walls none of them ever truly tore down. When Robin entered his final struggle, those unresolved tensions still lingered between them, heavy, unspoken, and heartbreaking. The past never fully loosened its grip. By 2011, Robin Gibb was fighting a war he could no longer hide. The diagnosis was devastating: colon cancer that had already spread to his liver. Even as his body weakened, he spoke with hope in interviews, insisting he would recover. His voice grew thinner, his frame more fragile, but the optimism never left him. Those closest to him later admitted he clung to that belief with fierce determination. Treatment was brutal. Surgeries, chemotherapy, and constant pain consumed his days. Still, Robin refused to stop working, even while connected to hospital drips. He continued composing the Titanic Requiem with his son RJ, a symphonic tribute marking 100 years since the Titanic's sinking. For Robin, the project became more than music. It became purpose, legacy, and a final act of defiance against time itself. It became a haunting metaphor for his own fight, endurance, tragedy, and the human will to keep moving forward as everything collapses around you. By April 2012, the illness overwhelmed his body. Pneumonia set in, he slipped into a coma, and doctors quietly warned the family there was nothing more they could do. Ina, RJ, and loved ones gathered at his bedside, preparing for the end. Then, in a moment his children still describe with disbelief, something extraordinary happened. As Ina played music from the Titanic Requiem in the room, Robin's fingers began to twitch. Moments later, his eyes opened. He smiled. Doctors called it a medical anomaly. RJ called it a miracle. For a brief window of days, Robin was present again, speaking softly, humming melodies, and telling his family he wanted to return to the stage, even weakened and fading. He was still thinking about music, still dreaming of performing, still fighting in the only way he knew how. But the miracle could not last. His kidneys failed, then his liver followed, and the disease took what little strength remained. On May 20th, 2012, surrounded by Ina, RJ, and those who loved him most, Robin slipped away at 62. According to Ina, he died quietly, smiling, his hand in hers, unafraid, at peace, and filled with music until the very end. That moment defined who he truly was: gentle, hopeful, and relentless in spirit. A man who refused to let pain silence him. And after that silence, his children are finally speaking. In the years following Robin Gibb's death, the family stayed quiet, protecting his privacy the same way they always had. But as time passed, especially RJ Gibb began to speak publicly, not to expose him, but to explain him. And in doing so, they confirmed many of the rumors that had followed Robin for decades, finally filling in the missing pieces of a life far more complicated than fans ever imagined. One of the first revelations came from Ina, who calmly shared that she and Robin had lived in an open marriage, a truth almost no one knew while he was alive. She explained that the relationship with Claire Yang and the birth of Snow in 2008 were not betrayals in the way people assumed. Snow was provided for, and Claire was cared for. Ina's voice was steady, without bitterness or anger. Her honesty confirmed what had long been whispered, but never proven. The Gibb household followed rules the public never knew existed. Then came details about Robin's estate. His will left an estimated £26 million primarily to Ina, Spencer, Melissa, and RJ. Snow, though not named as a main beneficiary, was privately provided for, something the family did not want sensationalized or turned into conflict. They made it clear these decisions were handled quietly to avoid the legal and emotional destruction that has torn apart so many other famous families. The most powerful moments came from RJ's memories of his father's final hours. He described holding Robin's head and whispering, "We love you," as his father took his last breaths. RJ shared stories of late-night studio sessions from his childhood, watching Robin write music, not because he had to, but because he didn't know how to live without it. Today, RJ performs some of Robin's unpublished work, making sure his father's creative voice continues far beyond death. Through their words, Robin's children confirmed what so many had long suspected. Behind the harmonies, behind the rumors, behind the extraordinary highs and devastating lows, Robin Gibb was a man driven by love, weighed down by inner battles, and sustained by music until the very end. Their voices complete the story. A life filled with brilliance and turbulence, now finally understood through the people who knew him best. If this story moved you, like the video, share it with someone who loves music history, drop a comment with your thoughts, subscribe for more untold stories, and I'll see you in the next one.